Today we'll be looking into instructional design models. Instructional design models, also known as ISD models. We will be looking into the ISD model focus, which involves classroom, product, and system. Classroom is an ISD model that involves the development of an individual. It can be selection or development based. However, the resource of commitment is really low. This classroom model or ISD model focuses to a very small volume of instructions, and for example, you can focus on lesson planning. And this classroom model focus doesn't require a wide selection of ideas, or you do not have to spread at a wide. Whereas product ISD model focus requires high commitment in resources and normally takes place in teams. Besides that, it focuses on developing products, developing services, and the spread out is really high. And besides that, it requires self-instructional packages. The system ISD model focus requires high resource commitment and usually done in teams. And these teams are normally in departments and focuses on developing something that covers a big entity. For example, if you are planning to develop a course or curriculum, this system ISD model focus is the right thing to look into. We are going to look into the classroom ISD models that are available and are being used in the industry at the moment. Gerlach and Ellie ISD model, Dick and Razor ISD model, Kemp ISD model, and lastly Assure ISD model. The Assure ISD model is made up of 6 steps, which includes analyze learner characteristics, state objectives, select, modify or design materials, utilize materials, require learner response, and evaluation. What are these 6 steps and how can they help in developing a classroom learning model? And how can they actually assist in classroom learning? Today, we are going to look further into this. Assure is an instructional design model that has the goal of producing more effective teaching and learning. Assure is an acronym that stands for the various steps in the model. Analyze learner characteristics. The first step in the process is that the teacher should analyze the attributes of her learners. There should be a focus on those learner characteristics which are associated with the learning outcome desired. The information gathered will help you in the decisions that you make with respect to the other steps in the process. When you determine the character of the learners, it will guide you in choosing specific strategies and resources to aid the learning process. The analysis of the learners should include the general attributes of your learners such as age, academic abilities, gender, interests, learning styles, prior competencies, and visual, auditory, and tactile learning. After the analysis of the learner attributes, the teacher must state standards and objectives for the learning module. This statement consists of a specification of what learners will be able to do as a result of the instruction. To be more concrete about things, this statement focuses on what the learners will know or will be able to do as a result of the instruction. An example of this is with medical students. The learners will be able to name at least 2 databases and 2 search techniques that they can use to locate medical evidence for particular cases. The objectives can be used in assessing the success of the students, perhaps for grading process. Also, you can use them to let the learners know what they will accomplish through the class. The mark of a good set of learning objectives can include the audience. For whom is the objective intended? What is the behavior or performance to be demonstrated? What are the conditions under which the behavior or performance will be observed? To what degree will the knowledge or skill be mastered? The second S in the acronym stands for Select Strategies, Technology, Media and Materials. Given what your learning objectives are, it's necessary to pick instructional strategies, technology and media that will bring about the results that you want. First, you should figure out which delivery method will be best for your instruction. For instance, what proportion of your instructions will be instructor-centered and what proportion will be student-centered. The first of these are strategies such as lecture, demonstration or showing a video. The second are strategies such as group discussion or cooperative group work. Once you select your teaching strategy, then it's time to figure out which technology, media and materials best support the method of teaching that you're using. This ranges from simple tools such as chalk and blackboard to more sophisticated ones such as PowerPoint presentation. This step in the Assure process concerns making a plan as to how you will utilize the technology, media and materials that you have selected. As with all the instructional steps, you must make sure that your plans contribute towards producing the objectives that you have laid down. It is good to do a dry run of your lesson before you actually teach it. Make sure that the whole lesson will go smoothly and seamlessly. You need to gather together all the things that you will need to teach your lesson. You have to make sure that they are working properly. You then actually carry out the lesson. Basically, you need to prepare the environment. Simple things like making sure that you have enough desks are important. If you have control over the situation, you should make sure that there are no source of noise that will disturb the students. You have to prepare the learners. First, you need to clearly inform the learners as to what the learning objectives are. This will help the learners create a mental map of what they need to absorb. Provide the learning experience. This is where all your planning takes effect. You should be prepared to carry out the lesson with every prior step of the process in mind. This will ensure your success as a teacher. This step requires you to make plans to how you're going to actively engage your students in the materials that you are teaching. This needs to be figured out both at the class level and the individual level. The most basic step that you can take is requiring participation of the students in class discussions. A more sophisticated approach would require that students prepare questions and comments at the end of the class. Beyond this, you need to plan exactly how the students will participate in the learning process. Generally speaking, how will they learn the information and techniques included in a lesson? This plan needs to be more specific than just saying that they will listen and absorb the material. Maybe you will encourage a specific kind of note-taking or other learning strategies. The final step in the Assure process is just as crucial as all of the others. In this step, you evaluate the impact of your teaching on student learning. This includes an evaluation of your teaching strategies and the technology, media and materials that you use. The following questions are useful to ask. during this evaluation? Did your lesson meet the learning objectives that you planned? How well it is determined whether the students learned through the objective. Can this lesson be improved? How? How are you going to assess the weaknesses in your presentation? Was your choice of media and materials a good one? How will you assess the effectiveness of these tools? Is it possible that other technologies, media and materials would have done a better job? The final step in your evaluation should focus on feedback from students. Was this experience positive overall? Do they feel that they have reached your objectives and their own personal objectives? How will you determine whether or not your performance was effective? By following the Assure process, you will be sure to improve your teaching for many years to come. Thank you for listening.